The classic is dead. Long may the hot hatch reign. As demonstrated here at the iconic Auctioneers auction, we have classics that have had hundreds of thousands spent on them, but the estimates are nowhere near what's been spent. And then we have the hot hatches. About £500,000 worth of hot hatches are here for you to buy. This is here this weekend at Carfest on the Saturday and the Sunday. So all details are in the video's description of how to get involved. Let's take a look at some of the highlights here going to auction. So before we get to the higher value stuff, we have a pair of Audi Quattro barn finds, and you won't believe some of the information on this. I love the front end on the white example, but from the 1982 we go back to the 1984 one at the front. This one, its last MOT was in 2013. 10 to 15,000 pounds for this Quattro, all covered in dust as found in the barn. And then the white one we have untouched since 1994. So this was on a recent episode of the Late Break Show. You might have seen it, but you can see some of the cracking around the bumper here and bits of rust. It is an absolute restoration project, the Audi Quattro. This one, 12 to 15,000 pounds for the 1982 Audi Quattro. At the rear, again, you can see they've preserved some of the state that has been found in the barn. To see both of these together, I think they're obviously different collections. We can have a look inside. Same door handles as my 944 here, although it wasn't actually latched. And smell test, yeah, it's as you would expect. A little bit damp. You've got the rocker cover in the footwell there, a spare wheel down there as well. And you can see 93.4 thousand miles is on the odometer of this Quattro. So I will not shut it properly, we'll just press it to. But neighbouring the Quattros is another fascinating car. Now this isn't necessarily a barn find, but it's a bit of a E-Type hot rod. This is the genuine Series 1 Roadster from 1966. It's offered here without reserve, and the estimate is only 10 to 15,000 pounds. So this car was originally sold in the US, and it was wrong-hand drive, well, left-hand drive for US market. Then it was converted into what you see here, and then imported back to the UK, and now being converted to UK spec. So you can see inside, so that's where the steering wheel once was, and now it is quite close to the edge, but as I said, it's a bit of a hot rod Jaguar E-Type. I believe it's still got the original 4.2 litre straight six, but it's a US spec engine. It's got new floor pals, sills and various replacement panels to create this lightweight replica of a race car. So it was going to be a track-going Jaguar E-Type, but never actually finished. So it's a stalled restoration project with significant work already completed, and you get a Series 1 E-Type for 10 to 15. That is the estimate. But having a look a bit extensively, it's a bit of a Frankenstein monster. So this is a Series 2 bonnet, I think. The mouth is too big for a Series 1. Apparently the rear end is also Series 2. These are Series 3 doors. It's a Series 1 platform, and that's why it doesn't really fit. And then the rear end, that's Series 1 as well, because the lights are above where the bumper would be. The original fuel flap that would open, I'm not sure which way, has been maybe fiberglassed off, and now it's got the race fuel filler cap as well for ease of use. The boot doesn't quite fit, and the actual quality of the bodywork needs a lot to be concourse. And then the general stance and setup of the car, it's jacked up at the back. That's why it's giving that hot rod vibe about it. But if you want to talk about value for money, this car was delivered new in 2005 for £117,000. And now the estimate for this Bentley Continental GT with its 6-litre twin-turbo W12 is just 12 to 15. That's about 10% of the original purchase price. It's got the walnut veneer brushed aluminium instruments, and is not the only Continental GT here. There's quite a few Bentleys to talk about, including one that was owned by Elton John from new. But whilst I'm wearing my MG hat, MGs have never quite caught the attention of high value investments, unfortunately, and yet restoration costs are still just as high, whether it's an MG or something of more value. But this MG is one to talk about. This is an MG TF, the 135. It's only done 77 miles from new. Not 77,000, 77 miles. As a result, the estimate is about £15,000 to £20,000, which is like 3 times the price of your regular MG TF on the classified. So it's got its factory hardtop, folding soft top underneath, 1.8 litre K-series engine with 135 brake horsepower, hence the name, the TF135. It still smells brand new. It smells like a brand new early noughties car in this, with your half Alcantara and leather MG branded seats. But this lineup is where the enthusiasm really lives. It feels like the 70s to 80s all over again. Whilst in the 70s people would drive around in MGs and classics, the 80s brought in hot hatches with the 205 GTI. But first we have the Renault 5 Gordini Turbo. This one, little pocket rocket from 1984. Just £10,000 to £12,000, which is about the median price for some of these hot hatches. So it was made by Alpine, but it was badged as the Gordini Turbo in honor of one of their performance tuners, Amidi Gordini, because Chrysler actually held the trademark to the Alpine name in the UK. So it's got a 1.3 litre 4-cylinder engine with a single Garrett T3 turbo with about 110 horsepower. It's different to the Renault 5 GT turbos that they made themselves. This is the Alpine's version. It's still got no flared arches, not really, so your standard width body, but little turbo engine. This one with the red pinstripes, you've got tan interior. There's only about 13 of these on the UK road, so a very rare car for a very reasonable price, just 10 to 12,000. 69,700 miles is this car, and next door to that we have this Mazda 323 GTR. So this was a proper homologation car for Group A Rally Series. So they had to make 2,500 road-going customer purchasable cars to satisfy the rules of the FIA, and this was the result, the GTR. Permanent four-wheel drive with viscous LSD, 1.8 litre double overhead cam engine with 210 horsepower. So a little bit higher value than the Renault. 18,000 to £24,000 is the estimate. Remember, these only estimates in the auction for the Mazda 323 GTR, and I love the brand. You've got GTR, full-time all-wheel drive with viscous LSD. I've already told you that. You know, you've got the OZ wheels and then the bucket seats inside as well. Of course, the Renault Clio V6 Phase 2. So many Renault Clio V6s at every auction I go to. There's always at least one, £35,000 to £45,000. We've got an early Lancia Delta HF Turbo, £20,000 to £25,000, and then the aforementioned Peugeot GTI. So this is a standard 1.9 litre 205 GTI. Now remember this, estimate £15,000 to £18,000 for a 90,000 mile car, because there's another one in auction that we can compare it to a little bit later. Even Vauxhall are getting involved with a hot hatch, or a warm hatch. This is a Cavalier hatchback, but it's the SRI, so close to the top of the range of the Cavalier range in 1986. So the Cavalier was one of the UK's best-selling cars in the 80s. It's got a 1.8 litre 115 horsepower engine, comparable to the Ford Sierras of the time. It was their answer to the sporty hatchback in the day. So £10,000 to £12,000 for this 48,000 mile car. Now we've got a bit of a star car here, this Land Rover Defender 110. This was commissioned by Vinnie Jones, and you can tell it's not your standard Defender. It's got side pipes down there. So this is a Squire edition, 4.6 litre V8 engine from BMW. It's got a luxury interior with integrated rear entertainment system within. It was only completed in 2014. And now it's here with an estimate of £100,000 to £150,000 for a bit of a resto mod Land Rover Defender. I mean, that tweed, that is very Vinnie Jones. And from Vinnie Jones to Elton John, as I mentioned this earlier, he purchased this car brand new in 2014. This is the Bentley Continental GT Speed, which managed to top 200 miles an hour. That was the whole purpose of the Speed. I think 198 was the GT's originally top speed, and now with these kind of different grills, you've got a different exhaust pipes. That's the visual cues of the Speed. So he owned it for a year, then he passed it on to his husband a year later, and the vendor bought this car in 2020, and now it's here for sale with an estimate of 30 to 35,000. But right, just quickly, I mean, you can excuse me for this. This is, well, it would be a Cabretti Viper kit. Originally it was called Classic Replicas Viper, but Viper is the name for this Cobra. That's what they called it. They've got very, very flared arches. That's how to tell the Cabretti Viper. This one's got an AC and a Cobra badge on it. The classic blue and white stripes. Looks like Guardsman blue, perhaps, but only at 15 to 20,000 pounds for this car. Partially because it is powered by a 2-litre Ford Pinto engine, which is, it's done. It's quite common in these cars for the lesser value, more affordable ones. Got a Cobra plate there, and also for the more affordable kits, you often have that single full width roll hoop. That's one way to tell like a more affordable kit, like a Southern Roadcraft or a Pilgrim or a Viper. So they use Sierra, Granada, or sometimes Cortina donor cars. I think sometimes they are Jaguar, but I don't know if I can see underneath. That looks like, I think that's Cortina underneath there. So 15 to 20. This is one of 2 Cobras in auction today, but I don't know if you can think back to the 205 GTI 1.9 we saw earlier. That car has had more than £24,000 of documented expenditure on its restoration over the last 5 years, and yet its price was only 15 to 18 as an estimate, whereas this one, the estimate is 18 to 22, so a little bit more, but it is a dimmer build. So I don't think it's one of the original dimmer cars. They made about 205 of them. This was made as a one-off project by an ex-Peugeot mechanic to replicate one that he built a few years ago. So you've got the flared arches there, synonymous with your T16 Group B rally car of that period. That's what the dimmer kit was inspired by. And I can't work out whether this is a 1.6 or 1.9. It doesn't actually say, and it hasn't got the plate there because obviously that is widened as well. But this one now has a 2-litre 16-valve GTI 6 engine from the Peugeot 306 GTI. It's got genuine dimmer 3-piece split rims, and it is actually listed on the Dimmer UK register. 160,000 miles is the mileage on this. We've got these very colourful spotlights here, and yeah, 18 to 22, I think it's reasonable. But then when a restored one is estimated to receive even less than this dimmer one, it's not an official dimmer, it's a confusing market, even in the hot hatch world. But you might have noticed James from Road to Rust is behind me. He's gonna absolutely love what we're about to see here. So this once was a Citroen DS19, a fairly standard one. Now it's had the roof chopped off.
Yes, I've come to talk about it.
Yes, it's a coach build. Chaperon.
They were only sort of done, obviously, in limited numbers. You did get them with this earlier front end and the later lights, but if you just have a look at this, imagine that you're driving this with a beautiful lady in the south of France. There's wind going everywhere. You're driving into Italy, and you just park that up, and you're...
Yes, so it's the, I'm going to try and pronounce it, the decapitable?
It's the decapitable.
Which means the convertible. Yeah, so it's a coach build by Henry Chaperon, acquired by its previous owner in the year 2000 and has been restored that year as well. So it's currently in the UK under temporary import arrangement. So it hasn't been officially imported yet. So this is the first time that we've ever seen this car. Estimate 90 to 120,000 pounds.
And I will pay every penny.
Yes, and I won't. But I think this is beautiful. Much better looking than the hard top original counterpart, which you are furious about, James, as a Citroen man.
I own one.
Awkward. But once again, you're going to come across your Series 2 RS Turbos in an auction, 20 to 25,000 pounds for this 64,000 mile one, or for this red example, 45 to 55,000 pounds, because this car has only done 5.7 thousand miles, and it's immaculate, of course, as you would expect. So it has already been sold twice through Iconic Auctioneers themselves and has been resprayed in this red during the third owner's ownership. Originally it was bought by a gentleman under his company name, then transferred over to his own name, then used by his wife. It's had a bit of history, but only covered 5,700 miles since 1989. But this Audi RS2 is a highlight in the auction. Now, I know I say hear that a lot, but this car, you are looking at a sleeper build. The RS2 has got their turbocharged 5-cylinder engine, a very tunable engine, but this one, from its original 315 horsepower, is up to 580 brake horsepower, but can be mapped up to about 750, and the engine, they say, could take 1,000. And part of what makes it a 580 brake horsepower build is in the back. And I can show you the twin cans of a nitrous oxide, and then you've got the full roll cage. So this was a huge project, and the engine bay doesn't actually look too over the top, much like the exterior, but unless you see the semi-slick tyres, the roll cage, the bucket seats, you would not know that this car has the power that it has. So the estimate is 40 to 50,000 pounds with its stripped and rebuilt engine with forged pistons and connecting rods, reworked cylinder head, uprated turbo, intercooler, fueling, induction exhaust, engine management system, and of course the twin cans of NOS. Now I know I don't go too much to town with BMWs, but this E39 M5 has caught my eye. I don't know what the market's doing on these, but this has done, fair mileage. It's very clean, 58,000 miles, 40 to 45,000 pounds for an E39 M5. A little bit high if you ask me. Interesting to see what this goes for. And try not to be distracted by another BMW, the Z1. We have another very low mileage car, the Mini Cooper JCW. Looks almost out of place, but this car has only done 622 miles from new. So that's like double the normal estimate for a standard mileage example, 28 to 32,000 pounds, purely because of the low mileage nature of this JCW. But we're starting to head towards the proper classics, and this Bentley Continental Cabriolet is one of the demonstrations that I have to say about keeping a classic running and the downward depreciation of classic car values. As the elder audience are maybe moving on in the world, passing away, classic cars of this era aren't quite as desirable, and yet this car was used as a daily driver, and throughout that time £100,000 of receipts are on its history to keep it going. 20 years of commuting in this Bentley Continental convertible from 1989. It was kept running by Balmoral, which was a Bentley specialist. This is Bentley's version of the Rolls-Royce Corniche, and there is a Rolls-Royce Corniche Cabriolet somewhere in here I'll find later. Very fascinating, but 100,000 has been used to keep this on the road, and yet the estimate for this car is just 50 to 60, which, if you ask me, is a little bit high. I don't know if it will quite reach that. It's on 168,000 miles. And then we move on to this Series 1 Lotus Exige. This one has been restored. So it's not just classics that are getting restored. We've got this modern era. What's this? 2001. So kind of retro era. So a restored Series 1 Exige, 40 to 45,000 pounds, which isn't actually too far off what their normal values are for an unrestored example. But here is the aforementioned Rolls-Royce Corniche, so basically the same as the Bentley Continental, but Rolls-Royce's higher class variant. And this car has had some £55,000 spent in the last 4 years, and the estimate is only 38 to 43,000 pounds. Classics are loss-making cars, unless you go for the right one. That's what classic car ownership is like. And have a look at this beauty. Golden paintwork and green interior. So it was acquired by its current owner in 2022, and he is who has spent £55,000 on recommissioning this car, fault rectification, electrical diagnosis and repairs to the lighting systems, the wiring system, the fuel system, hoses, carbs, brakes, suspension, interior refresh. And now it's ready as a drivable car for less than what he spent on just recommission alone. So I don't know what he spent on the purchase price, but this willow gold and apple green leather interior car with a dark green hood as well, you can see gold and green, is just remarkable to talk about. So we're in a bit of a classic haul, but there's a lot to talk about in terms of values of these cars. Have a look at the green. It's like a reverse of the Corniche. You've got the green exterior colour and then the tan interior and roof. This E-Type, 55 to 65 for a Series 2. Jaguar E-Type values, I think they've reached their peak. I think they're coming down to a more reasonable value. They made so many of them and they've all been restored. I think the ones that need to sell have sold already. Next door we've got a lineup of replicas, the Chamonix 550 Spider. This is based on a Beetle, 30 to 40,000 pounds. 550 Spider Porsche is what's replicating, and then the 356 Speedster, again based on a Beetle. This is a Chesil Speedster from 1970, 20 to 25,000 pounds. And then we have a replica of an XK120, XK140, XK150, the XK range. And it's actually 5 inches wider than the XK, and you can tell by these cheeks here. The front face is lost in the width of the car, and that's purely down to the donor on this Jag. So this is named the Auto-Tune Aristocat from 2015 using Jaguar XJ running gear. I think that was its donor car, so it's got a rigid steel space frame chassis, apparently developed with written permission from Jaguar to make these, but only 10 to 12,000 pounds for this car with a 4.2 litre fuel injected straight 6. So you can have classic vibes but modern reliability with this replica Jag. We've got more replicas coming up, don't you worry, but oh, look at this P1800 wagon estate. Only 15 to 18,000 is the estimate. And then just quickly, another MG. So this was, I think it was a MGC originally, but it's replicating the MGC GTS. So the MGC GTS came before the MGC GT road car. It's the first time they used their 2 litre straight 6 for events like Sebring, for example. So this is replicating those race events, those race cars with the Sebring arches, and it's cost over £100,000 to restore this car into this look. It's got Lamborghini Miura green paintwork, and the estimate is just 25 to 30,000 pounds. £100,000 restoring this car into this, and it might not even make 20, we don't know yet. The auction's on Saturday and Sunday. You also do need a parking ticket. You don't need a ticket for Carfest itself to get in. There's details in the Iconic Auctioneers website. I just can't believe how much has been spent on this car. But are people buying MGs that want it? Have a look inside though. It is beautiful, and it smells of that freshly trimmed interior. But you might have seen this Carmen gear here. This was a Californian car, and as part of its restoration they actually covered over the sun-kissed paintwork. That's genuine sun-kiss from Californian sun. We've got a Fiat Dino Coupe, and then a pair of even more barn finds. We've got the Ford Capri, the 2.8 injection special edition. This has only done 26,000 miles and has been found in a barn and kept as is with the dust all over it. 15 to 20, I think, is quite high as an estimate for this Capri. It probably requires full commissioning, as does this Ford Escort Mark II RS2000. So it's got the 2 litre engine in the Escort, another barn find requiring full recommissioning or restoration. Recorded mileage of 80,000 miles. It's still got dealer plates, which I think are fantastic. 17 to 22,000 pounds is the estimate for the Escort. Now we have another recreation, again based on a Beetle. This has got a raw speed 1.9 litre engine. So a very desirable, quite fast engine with 109,000 cc, air-cooled, flat 4, 24 to 28,000 pounds as a result for this outlaw replica of the 356, built between 2021 and 23. Now I love a Marcos, and this one is a curious case. 2014. So these were sold as kit cars, and this was a full 4-stage kit car that was sold in the 90s, and it took, I think, 3 separate owners to finally complete this car. They originally used like Cortina Mark IV, Mark V as donor cars, and would have a 1.6 or the 2 litre Ford Pinto engine, but because this was completed a little bit later, it's got a Ford Zetec blacktop, so a crate engine from 2013, but 10 to 12,000 pounds is the estimate. It's the Marcos Martina. Marcos always use M, like Mantis, Martina. It's like Lotus, they use E, and Aston Martin use V. This is one to watch, I think, for a cool little cruiser, little Zetec engine, rear-wheel drive, good fun, not many miles. It's one to watch. And then next door we've got another replica. This is an NG, N for November, built by Nick Green in Hampshire. NG cars would replicate MGs, and this originally was an MGB GT, the hardtop one, the Pininfarina style. Anyway, so a recreation of like pre-war MGs. This one's got a Rover V8 under its flaps, and the estimate's only 12 to 16,000 pounds, and it's only done 5,300 miles since it was completed. Got another Cobra here. This is a Southern Roadcraft Cobra. It's got the Chevy 5.7 350, and the estimate's 25 to 35. So a little bit closer to how you'd imagine Cobra kit cars to be, but it's still a lower valued recreation because Southern Roadcrafts are, again, a cheaper end of the spectrum. And now we have a pair of transaxle Porsches, Porsche 928. This is a 928S. This is manual, and going by its condition, I mean, it's going to be an affordable value. It's got the Pasha interior, love that. Just 10 to 12,000 pounds for this 928. So it does need paintwork, and I think the neighbouring car is in a similar state. This is actually a non-running car requiring recommissioning, only 6 to 8,000 pounds. It's done 135,000 miles and hasn't been started since 2018 or 2019. So I think the owner actually entrusted a Porsche specialist in 2020 to get this running, and then due to what happened in 2020, the specialist actually passed away, and no work has been completed since. So you've still got rust around it, as well as the engine not having been started for a long while. So it's got a V8 engine, 5 litre, 330 horsepower back in the day. So it could be a good little project for a transaxle cruiser. So you've got the 928S here, and then the 928S4 next door. Now, I know you'll appreciate this, the petrol mica metallic green paintwork on the E46 M3, 30 to 35,000 pounds, but this is a bit of a star for me. This is the Nissan Bluebird Executive 1 Turbo. So this is, I think, the highest range of the Nissan Bluebird from 1988. 20 to 25,000 pounds is the estimate for this car, with its 1.8 turbocharged four-cylinder engine with 135 brake horsepower. It's only done 25,000 miles, and it is quite rare because it's a 4-door saloon. That's slightly rarer than the hatch variants. And this is also believed to be the first production example of this car. That's what makes it so special, as well as the gills here, the executive badging, Bluebird Turbo. I mean, that looks like it's come off an old vinyl record. The spoiler has a little bit of cracking in it. I'm guessing they're fiberglass spoilers on it. Got the embossed Nissan logo there. I don't know if you can see that. That's from factory. Dan Perkins, I'm sure he's a stellar chap, but I don't know who he is. And then the number plate that doesn't quite fit. But I think this is actually a genuine highlight. No one liked Bluebirds back in the noughties, but now they're slowly climbing, especially the Executive Turbo model. And now we go to a lesser known Fiat Abarth. So this was the Fiat Ritmo, very small compact car, and it's Abarth's version of that. And you'll notice here the tricolore pinstripes here. These have been hand painted. These details, you can see some of the brush lines here on the Ritmo, I think that's how you pronounce it. So this is the 3rd gen Ritmo. Abarth have been tuning them since their 1st generation. It's got a 2-litre twin cam engine. This one's done about 52,000 miles, and the estimate is 10 to 12,000 pounds. This is the original colour. It has had a respray. Now we've got another car for you mathematicians out here, another classic, the Rover P6B from 1975. It had 19,000 pounds spent on it, restoring it in 2015, and then a further 5,000 pounds between then and now, kind of maintaining it, and now the estimate is only about 10,000 pounds. So you can see why classics are not the best market of this value. Unless you go up to the higher value cars, you're not going to make money, guaranteed. Just a special mention though to the Maserati Merak. This, I think, is a fair price at just 20 to 30,000 pounds. It's on 39,000 miles. Although, to be fair, it hasn't been used in a lot of time. They say recommissioning of the engine is advised, and it's a Category C vehicle from an historic incident. And another car for mathematicians is this Mercedes 280 TE Estate. This has also been restored. The restoration costing over £40,000, and now the estimate is just 18 to 22. It's got their 2.8 litre twin cam straight 6 engine. I've never been a huge fan of these, and I can't believe that people actually restore them, and for that reason alone. And then likewise, this Porsche 911, it's a 1973.5. It's the S specification TE 2.4 CIS Coupe, long bonnet, Anyway, this arrived in the UK in 1998 and has since had £116,000 spent on it. It's got a factory specified list of desirable options, including the 911S front and rear spoilers, instrumentation, desirable car, these half-year models from 1973. Let's just quickly have a look at this pair. We've got the Mitsubishi 3000 GT. This is the VR4. It's manual, all-wheel drive, all-wheel steering, 10 to 15,000 pounds for this piece of Japanese history. And also, a little piece of Japanese history hides inside this Lotus Elise Series 1. And there is a clue. It's quite commonly done. So from its original K-Series of 118 brake horsepower, it now has a different K-Series, the K20 2-litre VTEC engine with 226 horsepower. So almost double the horsepower, weighing just 700 kilos. And this is a Type 49 generation Lotus Elise. 12 to 15,000 pounds for probably the most fun car to drive in auction. But to conclude, we are outside for this one owner Toyota Hilux. It's only done about 53,000 miles and it's got a hedgehog on its bonnet as a medallion, 8 to 10,000 pounds. It's been used, you can see that for sure, but amazing to find a one owner from new Hilux. And then beyond another Continental GT, we have this Porsche Cayenne Turbo. So it's got a bit of a kit on it that has given it a facelift. So this is actually a pre-facelift car, but with the 2013, 2014 facelift on it. It's also got power mods as well. I mean,
it's got the Bradford body kit.
It's the exclusive customs wide body and 2013 style facelift conversion. A claimed 650 horsepower from its twin turbo V8, up from standard, which is like 4 to 5, maybe 415, I think they are. It's Cat S, so it's 10 to 12. Yeah, 10 to 12,000 pounds. It's actually, it was Cat S, then it was Cat N.
Of course.
It's there. So a cheap Cayenne, 10 to 12. So that is the Iconic Auctioneers preview of their classic car sale here at Carfest. We had a little look around some of the cars. It's been amazing, so check it out. You can view the cars on the Saturday and on the Sunday. There's details on their websites how to get a pass. You don't need a Carfest ticket to look at the cars, but then you can't see the cars in Carfest. If you're at Carfest, you can do both. So that's it from me, but for now, thanks for watching.